The Right to Rent scheme, introduced as part of the Immigration Act 2014 and extended by the Immigration Act 2016, requires UK landlords to check the immigration status of prospective tenants to ensure they have the legal right to rent a property in England. Here is a detailed explanation of what right to rent checks are and the implications of not completing them. So what are right to rent checks? The Right to Rent scheme aims to prevent people who are in the UK illegally from accessing rental accommodation. Who needs to conduct the checks? Landlords, letting agents, or anyone who sublets their property or takes in lodgers must conduct these checks. Who needs to be checked? All prospective adult tenants aged 18 and over must be checked regardless of nationality. Checks must also be carried out for existing tenants who turn 18 during a tenancy. So how do you conduct right to rent checks? Number 1. Obtain original documents. Landlords must obtain original documents that confirm the tenant's right to reside in the UK. These documents are listed in 2 groups. List A, documents that show an unlimited right to rent. For example, a British passport or indefinite leave to remain. List B, documents that show a time-limited right to rent. For example, a visa that allows the tenant to stay in the UK for a limited period. Number 2, check the validity of the documents. Verify the authenticity of the documents in the presence of the tenant. This includes checking that the documents are genuine, belonging to the tenant, and have not expired. Make sure photographs match the appearance of the tenant and that dates of birth are consistent. Number 3, make and retain copies. Make clear copies of the documents and keep a record of the date on which the check was made. These copies should be retained for at least 1 year after the tenancy ends. Number 4, follow-up checks. For tenants with a time-limited right to rent, landlords must conduct follow-up checks before the expiry date of their right to rent. If the follow-up check shows that the tenant no longer has the right to rent, landlords must report this to the Home Office. Implications of not completing the right to rent checks. Civil penalties. If a landlord fails to conduct right to rent checks and are found to be rented to someone who does not have the right to rent, they can face civil penalties. The fine can be up to £3,000 per tenant. Criminal penalties. Persistent offenders or those found to be renting to illegal immigrants knowingly or with reasonable cause to believe the tenant does not have the right to rent can face criminal charges. This can result in up to 5 years in prison and an unlimited fine. Reputation and business impact. Non-compliance can damage a landlord's reputation and may impact their business, especially if they are seen as neglecting their legal responsibilities. This could also affect relationships with letting agents and other stakeholders. Loss of eviction rights. Failing to comply with right to rent checks can complicate the eviction process. For instance, landlords may find it harder to use the Section 21 eviction process if they haven't complied with all legal requirements, including right to rent checks. Additional points. Since November 2018, landlords can use an online right to rent service to check the immigration status of tenants who have a Home Office reference number. This is useful for tenants with digital status. Discrimination. While conducting these checks, landlords must ensure that they do not discriminate against potential tenants based on nationality or ethnicity. The checks must be carried out on all prospective adult tenants. Landlord's checklist. The Home Office provides a landlord's checklist to help guide landlords through the process and ensure compliance. Right to rent checks are a legal requirement for landlords in England to ensure that prospective tenants have the right to rent property in the UK. Failing to conduct these checks can lead to significant civil and criminal penalties, damage to reputation, and complications in the eviction process. Landlords must carry out these checks meticulously, keeping thorough records and ensuring they do not discriminate in the process.